In February 1959, 9 hikers set off on a trek in the Ural Mountains in Russia, expecting a challenging but routine expedition. Led by Igor Dyatlov, the group was experienced and well prepared for the harsh conditions. But when they failed to return, a search party was sent to find them, only to uncover a scene that defied explanation. Their tent was found abandoned, inexplicably slashed open from the inside, with their belongings still inside. As rescuers pushed deeper into the snow-covered wilderness, they discovered the hikers' bodies scattered across the landscape, raising more questions than answers. Soviet authorities quickly closed the case, offering vague conclusions, but the mystery only grew. Was it an avalanche, a military cover-up, or something far more sinister? More than 6 decades later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most chilling and perplexing unsolved cases in modern history. Tonight, on The Black Box, me and Josh will dive into the evidence, theories, and unsettling details of this infamous mystery, the Dyatlov Pass. Welcome back, y'all. I'm here with Josh, and yeah, as you heard in the intro, today's episode is about the Dyatlov Pass. Josh, do you have any initial thoughts before I dive into this about the Dyatlov Pass? Do you know about a lot about this before starting this, or I only learned about this incident like 2 years ago, so.
I mean, I was like familiar with the name and I knew a little bit about it. I looked into it like a tiny bit, far from an expert, but yeah, I kind of know it's a very odd disappearance.
Yeah, pretty much like I know this and that one disappearance in Australia are like two of the big ones. I forget what that one's called. It has some weird name. But I initially found this on Nick Crowley's channel, and we love fucking Chernobyl, the show, and the whatever well, we don't love the incident, but you know what I mean. And Dyatlov is Comrade Dyatlov in it, so I was like, wait, Dyatlov Pass, what did he have to do with that shit? And so that's why I got interested. And I was like, oh, it has nothing to do with that man. That man was like
unless.
I think he was literally an infant when the Dyatlov Pass incident happened, or maybe this Dyatlov was his granddaddy.
Perhaps? The plot thickens.
Oh shit! All right, here we go. So I'm going to dive into a bit of the expose, give our listeners here a bit of the background and what went down, and this is how we're gonna go. So yes. The Dyatlov Pass incident occurred in the northern Ural Mountains in the Soviet Union in February of 1959. A group of 10 hikers embarked on a journey to reach the Otoroten, I hope I said that right, Otoroten Mountain, which I know it has a nickname, which the nickname is like Mountain of Death or something, by the local native tribe there, which is kind of crazy. The expedition was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old student from the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk. How do you say that? Sverdlovsk, which is modern-day Yekaterinburg, which, funny enough, is also the place where the Romanovs all got killed. Yeah,
wow.
That's where they all got shot, in Yekaterinburg. The hike was a Category 3 expedition, don't know what the fuck that means, which was the highest level of difficulty in the Soviet Union's mountaineering grading system. Well, there you go. This meant that the hikers needed to have advanced technical skills, be self-sufficient in harsh conditions, and possess knowledge of wilderness survival. And the group was made up of experienced students and graduates, all of whom successfully completed similar, if not more difficult treks before. However, this expedition, as you could probably fucking figure, ended in tragedy, with all the hikers dying in mysterious circumstances. So I'm just going to go into a little bit now of the purpose of the expedition. So the goal of the expedition was, of course, like I said, to reach the Otoroten Mountain. And to complete the trek as part of their Category 3 certification, the group was part of the mountaineering club at the university. So again, they were all very, very, very adept at this. The expedition started on January 27th, 1959, from Yekaterinburg, with the group traveling by train and truck to the town of Ivdel, the last known settlement before reaching the wilderness that laid beyond, in front of the mountain. From Ivdel, the group took a bus to Vizhe, a small settlement at the foot of the Ural Mountains, where they began their trek towards the Otorten mountain. See, the hikers had planned to travel through the Ural Mountains' remote regions, encountering difficult terrain along the way, including forests, snow-covered ridges, and thick winter snowstorms. Then, on February 1st, 1959, the group set up camp on the slopes of, Jesus Christ, I'm going to try my best to pronounce this, Kholat Syakhl, a
Close
mountain,
enough, yeah.
a mountain in the northern Urals. The area was secluded with no nearby villages or infrastructure. Okay, so they were expected to send a telegram to their university upon their return to Ivdel. However, when they failed to make contact, a search and rescue operation was initiated. Now, there's an interesting bit here about one of the hikers. So there was 10 hikers, but one of them actually bailed. This guy named Yuri Yudin. So Yuri Yudin began to suffer from severe joint pain early into the journey, a condition that had plagued him in the past. Despite being an experienced hiker, Yudin realized that his condition would prevent him from continuing the trip. On January 28, 1959, after traveling for a few days, Yudin made the difficult decision to turn back. And there's a lot of little creepy theories out there about the fact that he had to turn back and all that. He returned to Ivdel and was the last person to see the other hikers alive. His departure meant that the remaining 9 hikers would continue on without him toward their planned destination, obviously. So yeah, so what say you on this Yuri Yudin guy? Like, there's some people that have like some weird theories about why he had to leave and all kinds of shit like that.
But why? Like, what are they saying? Because
Some people say that like he may have like fallen back because he had like a premonition, or like he thought that one of the hikers was like devious and that's why he wanted to fall back and he like faked illness. And then some also say that like maybe he had something to do with it, like he like vanished but then came back or something like that. I don't know. It's all baseless shit.
yeah,
But
I was gonna
yeah.
say, from the little bit that I saw when I did my limited quote unquote research on this, I thought it was pretty well documented that he had what's it called, sciatica.
Sciatica,
And he-
yeah.
And it like flared up. So obviously you're not gonna do a
Yeah,
multi-day hike.
you can't walk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's nonsense.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he just had a flare up and was like, all right, peace.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, but let's talk a little bit, like I said before, about each of the people. This is going to be a pretty long segment, but we'll keep it tight. So let's talk first about Igor Dyatlov. He was a leader. He was the most experienced hiker. He was a radio engineering student. He was well liked, disciplined, and had an impeccable reputation as a leader. Experienced outdoorsman. Some of his past hikes included extreme conditions, which made him very confident to lead the journey. And some people said that he had romantic feelings potentially for one of the other hikers, Zinaida Kolmogorov. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of O's. Kolmogorova, but never pursued them seriously. And in my notes here, he was not, in fact, related to Comrade Dyatlov in the Chernobyl incident.
No shit, dog.
Just because, I figured Dyatlov's a pretty common name, but it's just interesting to me that there are 2 Dyatlovs involved with 2 Russian tragedies. Like, that's kind of funny to me. I don't know why. Like, that name,
Yeah.
if that name is leading anything, you're in trouble. Let's just say that, all right? Like, if you know anyone named Dyatlov out there, do not let them take you on a hiking trip or let them run your nuclear facility if you have those things in your pocket. Next, Zenaida Kolmogorova. Dyatlov's secret crush was a another radio engineering student known for her athleticism and adventurous spirit. She was tough and independent, but also deeply caring towards her friends. I mean, I don't know if that's pertinent information, but that's in my notes. She was one of the two women on the trip. And yeah, she was also one of the most experienced in the group. And in one past expedition, she fought off a bear with a hiking pole.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Guessing it was like a small black bear,
Yeah,
not like a grizzly or anything.
it doesn't specify what kind of bear. Yeah, I feel like it was probably like a cub, but I mean, she is Russians, and Russians love to fight
True.
bears, so
Yeah, that's not
um,
a, that's not a,
that's not a
that's
wild.
not a wild stereotype, but
No, they mess
in
with it. They
reality,
know.
they rather ride the bears than
Exactly. See, you
fight
got
them.
it. Like in
Hmm.
World of Warcraft, yeah. Next, we have the second woman in the group, Ludmila Dubinina. I love that name, Ludmila, by the way.
Did you
Um,
just call Russians dwarves, by the way? Is that?
no, no, in World of Warcraft, you can be a Tauren and ride a bear, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, see, I only play classic, so
Oh, are
yeah.
the dwarves, is their natural mount a bear?
Isn't it? I mean,
I
I
thought it
know
was
in
a,
like
no,
the.
it's a ram. It's a ram.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I don't play Alliance. Ew. All right, let's get back into it.
Yeah, Ludmila Dubnina. Third, all these people were engineering students, apparently. Known for her fiery personality and strict moral values, had a tough upbringing. Previously was injured on a hiking trip when she was shot by a hunter, but continued the trek despite her wounds. She was the youngest in the group, and her injuries in the Dyatlov Pass incident would later become one of the biggest mysteries of the case. Next, we have Alexander Kolevatov, a physics student specializing in nuclear science. Worked in a secret Soviet facility before returning to the university, not Chernobyl. This would later fuel speculation about radiation and government involvement. Some accounts suggest that he had knowledge of classified Soviet projects, adding to conspiracy theories surrounding the case. Spoopy. Okay. Next up, we have Rustem Slobodin. Another engineering student, came from a wealthy family, making him the most privileged person in the bunch. He would later be found with a fractured skull, adding to the mystery of the group's fate. That's pretty much all there is about him. Next, we have, there is no way I'm pronouncing this right, Yuri Krivonischenko. Jesus. Okay. The comic relief of the group clown, apparently. Also worked at a nuclear plant where there was an accident before the expedition, which may explain, the later things about radiation. That's pretty much all there is about him. Next, we have Nikolai Thibault Brignoles, which is a very Belgium-ish name. Oh, he was French-Russian. There we go. Of French-Russian descent. He was the tallest in the group and seen as also the strongest and was really into philosophy. That's pretty much all there is. Then we have Yuri Doroshenko, another engineering student who apparently once fought off a wild bear with his bare hands, and also dated Zenaida Kolmogorova at one point. So maybe there was a bit of a love triangle going on there between Yuri, Igor, and Zenaida. That's another show though. And then finally, and this is the most kind of enigmatic of the group, Semyon Zolotaryov, who was the eldest in the group by far. So most of these people, the oldest person of everyone I just mentioned was 24, and that was Nikolai Brignoles, while Semyon was 38, which is really weird. That he was hiking with these students. He was a World War II vet, was not a student, as I said. He joined the expedition at the last minute. He had a mysterious background. Some suspect he was involved in covert Soviet operations, and he was known for his military discipline and survival skills, which did make him a valuable asset. But there are a lot of people in the conspiracy world that feel like Semyon might have been like I don't know, like some kind of assassin or some kind of like weird player that might have had something to do with what happened. Have you heard
Gotta
about this
kill
dude?
all these college kids. Uh-oh. No, I mean, if anything, it was not uncommon for the KGB to have, agents or officers do this kind of thing where if these kids were trekking through or near an area that might have
Yeah.
had any kind of military ties,
Yeah.
they would just send like an officer with them. No, not to like kill anyone and
Yeah, just to
assassinate them,
watch. Yeah.
but just to make sure that they don't wander into like a military testing thing and see something that they shouldn't see,
Because there was military facilities out here, for sure. That was pretty much confirmed. So, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Like the KGB were crazy with that shit. They would have people following the people that were following the people that were following. Like, verify, trust but verify. I think is the old KGB, fucking motto. So those were the hikers. Now I'm going to talk about the events leading up to the incident, a little bit more, going back a little bit, but also kind of delving into what authorities figured happened from investigation. So the hikers were well prepared for the expedition. These were very seasoned vet hikers. They weren't fucking around. These people were legit. Uh, they had maps, supplies, survival tools, and were all accustomed to harsh conditions. However, the weather in the area and the terrain in the area grew progressively more challenging as they moved closer to their destination. They were hiking in the dead of fucking winter, so this is a rough time to go hiking. In particular, the region they were traveling through was known for its heavy snowstorms, freezing temperatures, and like literally like impulsive blizzards that would come out of nowhere. The group set up their final camp on February 1st, 1959, where they were posted up by the mountain Kolatsakil, which that is the mountain that is called Dead Mountain, not the other one. This is the mountain that was translated as Dead Mountain by the local Mansi tribe. In the evening, the hikers began to set up their tent on the slope of the mountain. From all available evidence, the hikers seem to have started the camp setup as planned, but then something went terribly wrong. On the night of February 1st, the group's tent was cut open from the inside, and they fled in a panic, leaving behind all their belongings. They left in a state of undress, meaning they were pretty much naked, which is highly unusual for seasoned hikers in extreme temperatures of negative 30 degrees Celsius, which is negative 22 Fahrenheit. Colder? That doesn't seem right. Very fucking cold, let's just say that. The hikers' footprints led rescuers to believe that they fled camp in a rush, possibly escaping some kind of immediate danger. But by the time the rescuers arrived, the hikers were already dead, some with horrific internal injuries, severe burns, or missing body parts. The bodies of the Dyatlov Pass victims were discovered in various states of distress, which added to the mystery of the event. The first body that was found was Igor Dyatlov, who was the leader. He was discovered a short distance from the camp near the edge of the forest, barefoot and wearing pretty much no clothing, likely suffering from extreme hypothermia. There were no visible injuries on him. Close to him was Zenaida Kolmogorova, whose body was also found some distance away. She was found partially undressed, her clothes were hastily removed, and though she too had succumbed to hypothermia, there were, like Dyatlov, no significant injuries. Now, the body of Ludmila Dubinina was found nearby them, and it was revealed to have the most severe trauma. She had multiple fractured ribs, a severe skull injury, and missing eyes. And one of the most disturbing details was that her tongue had been removed, likely post-mortem. This degree of injury suggested blunt force trauma, and her body showed clear signs of trying to have escaped the camp, which also, added to the mystery. Next to her was Alexander Kolevatov, who showed signs of hypothermia, didn't have as much injuries. Rustam Slobodin was nearby as well. He was discovered lying in a stream. His skull was fractured, which may have been caused by a fall or impact, but he also had died from hypothermia. Yuri I'm not saying the name, Krivonishenko. His body was found a little bit further from them, with support suggesting that his body showed signs of radiation contamination and a yellowish tint on his skin. Nikolai Brignolis showed signs of hypothermia. He had fractures to his skull and ribs. And then Semyon Zolotaryov, the eldest of the group, was found near the edge of the forest. He was found with broken ribs and also had his eyes removed. Finally, Yuri Doroshenko's body showed deep wounds to his face and head, along with signs of hypothermia. The bodies were all found, of course, with varying degrees of internal injuries. And of course, the most shocking aspect of the entire discovery was that they were all barefoot, they were all naked. The tent had been slashed from the inside. The lack of defensive wounds on any of the victims further suggests that the hikers were not attacked by other humans. These unsettling injuries, combined with the peculiar condition of the camp and the manner in which the hikers fled, has led to a range of theories, from natural disasters to supernatural to government intervention, all kinds of shit. So, with that all being said now, let's dive into the theories a little bit. What do you think?
I figured it out already. So if you want to like go through the theories and then I'll explain what actually happened, we can do that.
Okay, all right. Let's go
No,
through.
it's pretty easy.
Let's go through each theory and like. I think that I think we can kind of root around and see what's up here. So one of the biggest theories, the first theory is called the avalanche theory, which was that a small slab avalanche may have buried part of the tent, forcing the group to flee in a panic. The hikers moved downhill, but some succumbed to hypothermia. Remember, it was very cold. And the remaining 4 fell into the ravine, suffering severe injuries. Now, I also, with each theory, I'm going to present problems with the theory. So the 3 problems with this theory is that 1, no clear avalanche evidence was found. 2, the tent remained partially visible, suggesting no full burial. And 3, internal injuries with no external trauma don't match what would happen in an avalanche. So that's the first.
I can counter those 3.
Go. This is, by the way, this is the official Russian explanation. This is the official thing that
Let's take that with a mountain of salt.
that the KGB suggested happened. But yeah, go ahead. Hit those 3 for me.
All right, so the slab avalanche. So that's different from like a full-on avalanche. What one would picture when you hear the word avalanche, like I see the side of a mountain like coming down, right?
Yeah.
So what they were doing, they set up their tent, and they probably, when you're in that kind of situation, you dig into the ground a little bit to try and like, make a little shelter from the wind. As snow continues to build up, it could build up considerably high and fall over onto the tent.
Yeah.
And you said there was blunt force trauma with no external signs of injury, but from what I saw, like one guy had his skull crushed, and he was found like in the tent basically.
Yeah.
And if you have a big slab of ice or like snow, that's pretty heavy. So that could explain why that happened. And okay, so if you're sitting in a tent, all nice and relatively warm, getting ready for bed, you're not wearing all your gear, and then you have snow all of a sudden just come collapsing onto your tent, you're gonna think it's an avalanche, and you're gonna get the hell out of that tent so you don't get buried alive. That could explain why they made such a desperate rush to get out of the tent, cutting it open. Maybe the entrance was blocked by like a massive mound of snow, and that's when they took off running.
Righteous. Okay. All right. Fair. Of course, this is, I know I said the Russian explanation, but a lot of people have also adhered to this theory as the most likely explanation for what happened. But I do have a couple other theories. Actually, I got quite a few more that could suggest what happened potentially. So the second theory I have is katabatic winds, or the rapid cooling hypothesis. So a rare katabatic wind event could have caused extreme winds and temperature drops. Now, I messed up in my notes and I didn't write down what katabatic winds are, so I'm just going to tell you right now. So, katabatic winds are a downslope wind caused by the flow of an elevated high-density air mass into a low-density air mass below under the force of gravity. So I think that they thought that this might have happened due to the fact that they were camping on a slope. And the reasons why, the more explanation as to what may have happened: the hikers may have panicked, fearing their tent would collapse due to the winds. They were disoriented in the darkness and obviously, moved away from the tent and froze to death. The one problem with this theory is that it doesn't explain any of the severe internal injuries. What do you think?
I mean, it could be a contributing factor.
Maybe it was a combo of of a slab avalanche and the katabatic winds. I mean, that's not too out of the ordinary to suggest that a sudden gush of crazy cold wind was coming down or something.
I mean, wind is always a contributing factor, or usually most of the time a contributing factor when you have an avalanche situation.
That's true.
Because it displaces snow, and then that displacement allows for more snow to rush in behind it, and then it just snowballs out of control.
It could have been a combo of the two, so that's a big possibility as well. All right, so those are two pretty solid environmental explanations as to what happened. Now we're gonna go into things that are a little bit crazier. All right,
let's get silly.
The next one is the next theory is military tests, aka the secret weapons hypothesis. So the area
I can't wait
was
to shut this down.
The area was known for Soviet military testing, possibly parachute mines or radio pulses. So a military explosion could have frightened the hikers into fleeing and caused the internal injuries through shockwaves. Some of their clothes were found to be radioactive. Although the problems with this theory is that no other witnesses reported explosions, and that the radioactivity could have come from Yuri Krivnishenko's prior work at a nuclear plant. But a lot of people think that this is possible because of Russia's history of cover-up and the fact that they didn't want to admit that one of their experiments killed the hikers. What do you think?
Okay, so this happened in the late 50s, right? 58, 59?
Yeah.
59. Okay, if it was a military accident, say they were testing some kind of new weapon, and that weapon led to the deaths of these people, we are still in Stalin-era Russia.
Yep.
This story would never have gotten out, period.
True.
Ever. They would have covered up. The families were like, oh, what happened? Do you want to go to the gulag? All right, you're on your way to the gulag. And that sounds like I'm exaggerating, but has happened. If the Soviet Union would never, ever, in a gazillion years, even allow people to speculate that might have been a weapon test. They would bury it and cover it up so quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean
that we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it.
Look at Chernobyl. I mean, they still officially report that only 15 people died as a result of Chernobyl. They literally that's still their official body count for Chernobyl, which is insane. They are something else. But hey, Putin and whatnot. Next theory is infrasound and the panic theory. So this theory suggests that wind passing through the mountain could have created infrasound, causing hallucinations and paranoia, which may have made the hikers flee in panic and then later succumb to the elements. But of course it doesn't explain any internal injuries or the missing tongue and eyes and all that. So
missing tongue and eyes is easy to explain.
So I'm interested, and I'll ask you that soon. So I don't fuck with this theory at all. I don't infrasound. I don't know. I guess that's a possibility, but that's just so wild that
that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch. That
especially when we're talking about experienced hikers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a clearly audible sound. It's not some secret brown sound or something. It's a sound below a frequency of 20 hertz. and it's clearly audible. I don't see why a sound would cause them to like freak. But hey, that's, some people believe that shit. I'm gonna say probably no to that. So the next one, and this is one that a lot of people have talked about, is the paradoxical undressing and hypothermia theory, which suggests that perhaps it got so cold in the mountains that sometimes when you get so cold, you actually start feeling hot because your blood vessels dilate. And a lot of people that apparently freeze to death or get close to it, like, feel the need to like take their clothes off. So a lot of people, so this theory suggested essentially that it got too cold. They got really hot inside the tent, began freaking out, and cut the tent from the inside to get outside to, I guess, cool down, and then died of hypothermia. But to me, this is kind of weird, because I'm like, well, once they realized that maybe they weren't on fire, why wouldn't they go back inside the tent? Why would they go so far down the ridge? I don't know. What do you think?
If you are to the point where you have paradoxical undressing,
Yeah.
like, rational thoughts are way, way out the window.
True.
You're not gonna like sit there and realize anything.
So
Your
think
mind
this
is in full on just like gibberish, garbled, panic, nonsense mode at that.
So you think this is a possible theory?
Or
Or like
doubtful.
part of the other, like, let's say if we roll with say the avalanche and katabatic winds, or even one of the two.
Mhm.
Do you think that it could have gotten so cold due to one of these things, especially the katabatic winds, that then this happened, which then caused them to freak out, run outside, and just go crazy?
No, because then you would have to say that they didn't freak out because of the avalanche. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would have to say, oh, they were in their tent, fully dressed in their heavy snow clothes, and then they
Yeah.
had paradoxical undressing, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
If they're in their tent, like, yeah, it's still gonna be cold, but you're all in your tent. They have some form of heating going on in that tent. All of their clothes were nicely stacked up and folded near the front of the tent, meaning, yeah, they probably put it all there, and they were getting ready to go to sleep. And then, like, my idea, like, a little mini slab avalanche happened. They panicked because they didn't know if the whole mountainside was coming down on them, so they got the hell out of that tent. And that's why a lot of them were found mostly undressed, or only in, like, you know, like underwear that you would wear under your heavy stuff. And then later on though, another thing that kind of goes against the paradoxical undressing, there's no signs of people like taking off whatever remaining clothes that they had on where they ended up dying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not like they got back to the tent ever. After they ran, nobody got back to the tent. It's not like they went back, got their gear, put it on, got really cold, stripped it off, and died. So, I mean, it's a thing that could happen. Whether or not it played any part in this, I don't think so.
Yeah, that one's a little nebulous. Like, I mean, it could be part of a theory, but I don't see how it's the whole theory. So, I mean, maybe they did feel this eventually, like, in general. The one thing I wonder, though, about the avalanche theory is that, like, if they were such experienced hikers, why would they freak without fully knowing? I guess they can't see what's happening, but I just feel like being
it's
so
nighttime, and I mean, I think that is what an experienced climber would do. If you're in your tent and you even have a sign of an avalanche, like, keep in mind, their tent got hit with a big chunk of snow. You can see it in the pictures. You can see that, like, a chunk of snow landed on the tent. If you're getting ready for bed, lying there, and all of a sudden half your tent comes crashing in on top of you, you're not going to sit around and go, all right, guys, hold on, I'm going to peek my head outside and I'm going to find out what's going on here. No, you're going to be like, oh, fuck this, and you're going to run
Right.
shit down the mountain because you don't know if the rest of the mountain is coming down behind you, you know?
True, but once they got outside, I guess it was too dark. It's too, yeah. Maybe. But, like, do you think they would go, like, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, do you think that they would at least, like, use, like, auditory, like, hey, actually, wait, I don't hear any more snow coming down. Maybe it's okay.
Well, with avalanches, sometimes they're kind of similar to earthquakes in the way that, you know, when you're in an earthquake, you feel that first tremor, you don't just go, oh, it's over. You're like, okay, there's probably going to be a follow-up tremor, and it's probably going to be bigger. So same thing with avalanches. When that first little slide happens, you're not thinking, okay, whoo, we're in the clear. You're thinking, nah, this is a dangerous place. The snow is not, like, settled. It is, there is a chance that this mountain might be coming down. The best course of action is to get as far down the mountain away from the trouble zone as you can.
For sure. Yeah. And I fully feel all that. And I figure, like, they think we just got to keep going and get away from this. So what it could all just wrap up to is that, like, they went hiking in a really dangerous place, and that just these kind of things can just kind of happen in these dangerous places that you hike.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
or,
any slope, any mountain.
Or it could be a Yeti attack. So some have suggested that a Yeti or some form of cryptid could have attacked them. The horrific injuries led to speculation about a large predator. So obviously the missing eyes, the cracked skulls, all that shit, it could have been a Yeti. And apparently one of the only pictures that they got off of, I think it was Semyon, off of his camera, showed that he took a picture of an unknown mysterious figure in, if you're on YouTube, I'm going to post that picture of that figure right here. Right here, I'm posting the picture of the figure that Semyon
clear as day
took a picture of, and a lot of people think that this could have been a Yeti or some kind of abominable snowman.
Where I've seen this figure before?
Where?
The grassy knoll.
All right, hold on. We're not talking about the Umbrella Man.
We got it. We got him.
Umbrella Woman, rather. Listen. A lot of people think maybe there was a bear. It could have been some kind of Yeti, or that this figure in this photo was a man. Maybe someone who was stalking them, who wanted to kill them, who wanted to do something to them. Maybe it was KGB. Maybe it was someone who had beef. Like, yeah. Now, I will say that the two glaring problems is that there was no signs of an animal attack, nor were there any animal-like prints in the snow, and the tent was slashed from the inside, which suggests that the panic came from within the tent, not from outside. Because if it was a Yeti, why would they leave the tent? Right? But you never know, right? Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you never know, except in this case where you kind of know.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there could be a Yeti out in the region that did it. It's possible. Right?
Sure, if Yetis exist.
Yetis might exist.
Oh, yeah, I mean, what if Santa Claus was just really having a bad day and he came down with an RPG, an AK, and he was like, you know what?
You know what? I'm going to take these hikers out. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's somewhat, it could happen, but this next theory could have even more happened, which is, it could have been an alien encounter. Now, some people believe that there were orange lights seen in the sky reported by other hikers in the region and were UFOs or some kind of plasma energy phenomenon. All right? This would have accounted for the unexplained burn marks and the radiation on the clothes. So there's a lot of people, even the local Mansi tribe, that said that on that night
the burn marks.
There was a lot of weird lights in the sky. Some people think that there was some kind of maybe high energy weapon, which kind of like leans back to the military test theory.
Can't believe we're actually talking about this.
And some people suggest that maybe they might have been abducted, fucked up a little bit, then thrown back into the snow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, a final theory, which I will outright say now is not what happened, is that the local Mansi tribe attacked them. But
yeah, that's dumb. Yo, I can explain the burn marks.
Go.
Okay, so big piece of evidence that has been left out here. After the group left the tent in a hurry, they ran down the mountain for a
Yep.
little bit, and they ended up near some cedar trees. Excuse me. And the group started a small fire to try and keep warm. Didn't work out because the winds were gusting to who knows, like really bad. Two people were found dead by the cedar trees, hypothermia, probably. I gotta say, I guess. Um, it's really easy when you die to like kind of fall into that fire or fall into the remnants of a fire. You can get third-degree burns even if the fire is not currently going, just from the embers alone. Um, yeah, so that kind of explains the burns. Better than aliens and high energy weapons and Halo Reach.
I'm just look. No, all right, okay. I want to make it clear that I don't believe that it was aliens or high energy
No,
weapons.
he believes it was the Yeti.
I think that a Yeti is more likely.
What if the
But
Yeti had a plasma rifle?
all right, I'm just saying, man. It could be. Look, I mean, I don't know.
I'm
Man.
just asking questions,
I'm
bro.
just, I'm asking
Next
the
week on
questions.
Joe Rogan's nonsensical bullshit podcast. I'm just asking questions, man.
I'm just asking the questions, man. I'm just saying. But still, there is no 100% definitive answer to this mystery, though many have said more than likely it was the slab avalanche. But we'll never truly know 100% what happened at the Dyatlov Pass
Right,
in
because everybody died.
1959 because
Yeah.
everyone died. Everyone that was there died. Yep, this is a mystery that still has people scratching their heads, still talked about, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at. It could have been a Yeti. I'm kidding. Or am I?
Yetis with plasma guns and plasma grenades caused an avalanche. The
Yes.
KGB agent was there to protect him, but since he's Russian, he was drunk off his ass on vodka,
Yep.
and that's what happened. And then,
And then somehow, they used the energy weapon to pilot a aircraft, which they
yeah.
then used to hijack Malaysia flight in
Ah,
2014.
spoilers, bro, spoilers.
And made it disappear through some kind of time rip. So that's pretty much what happened. And then they went back in time to the lost Roanoke colony. And the reason why
Oh,
I'm
God.
mentioning that is because our next topic is Roanoke. So that's going to be
Yes!
another disappearance that we are going to be delving into next time
That's my jam.
on the Black Box. There's a lot of theories with that one. That one's a lot to chew on. But it seems that the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass remains unsolved. I'm kidding. I know I just stole that from BuzzFeed Unsolved, but whatever. Any last words, Josh, about the Dyatlov Pass expedition?
I wish I would have thought of something funny and clever to say at the end of this. Thank you.
That works. We'll see you next time. This is the Black Box signing off.